All right, the Command & Conquer Ultimate Collection dropped on Steam 10 days ago on Thursday night. I tried to play Generals, my favorite Command & Conquer title, online, and it didn't work, mostly because it's a 20-year-old title, and the online services that existed then no longer exist. So it has been a journey for me to get here, but I have it working, and I've seen it all at this point. I think I have all the answers. So I don't know how this guide is exactly going to go together. I might have to use some of the stuff I filmed earlier, but a lot of it I'm just going to go through right now and cover. So the key to this all, the web that's holding this all together, like the centerpiece of it all, is GenPatcher. So GenPatcher is a tool for installing other tools and patching generals. So this is a community-made tool, of course, and I've been really impressed by it this week. We can look at here the latest version information, supported versions, been updated to support the Steam. It's been updated a few times this week, so make sure you've got a new version this week. And here's a list of the fixes that we're looking at here and some of the other information here. So we're going to start here. We're going to download this GenPatcher, and then you're going to go to your game files, and you're just going to drop that file from that GenPatcher.exe and drop it here in your 0-hour directory. I already got some other stuff going on here, but just drop that GenPatcher.exe in here and then run that. Like I said, you're going to want to make sure you got the latest version this week, because there's some updates to get everything working that have still been coming out. So big thanks to Legionnaire for keeping up with GenPatcher and getting this going, and keeping it updated for us to play Generals online. All right, so when you first run that, there's going to be some scary looking command windows, just because of the way it's written here. But you'll come up into this sort of interface here, and you'll have the option here to apply some fixes. I've already done that. And you can go to additional content here, and here you can install some other stuff. I posted a video last night. We looked at Gen Launcher and how to install that. Here's an easier way to install it. One-click installer here. We're going to need this tool, GenTool. So the installation for that, you can install it directly from here. You can grab an exe or a zip file. That zip file contains a DLL, this d3d8.dll. You just need to drop that in your 0-hour and probably your generals directory as well. Or you can just install that with one click here as well. We also have some windowed mode here available here. So on that note, with this GenTool, we're also getting updates to the game. One of the most notable updates is we've got the original armies from Generals are available in 0-hour, playable there. So really there's no reason to play base Generals, especially now that everybody has the Ultimate Collection, everybody has 0-hour as well. You can play the original armies there with the patched community patch here. So really we're going to all play that, and I'll show you when we get into the client here. There's even some lobbies and modes set up just for playing the classic armies there, but this will keep everybody at least somewhat consolidated on the online scene. All right, so you can install maps again with one click here. Just hit that button and install your maps. That's really helpful. All right, so that brings us to the online section here. We have 3 options for playing online. CNC-online is by far the best. It's an actual client made for playing Generals online. gameRanger is a tool that happens to work, and our admin VPN is our absolute fallback. There's just a huge difference in these services, and so bear that in mind as you try them if you're picking one of them. So definitely CNC Online is the way to go. gameRanger just works, and our admin barely works. All right, for me, I was running into issues with disconnects as soon as I joined any game, really on any of these options here. So if you're running into an issue with disconnects, before I get into any one of these, let's talk about that. If you're running into network issues at all, try this network optimizations mode in GenPatcher. Likely what's happening is your computer's running on IPv6 and the game is expecting IPv4 only. This option here forces IPv4. It also forces you to a home network and makes sure that the executable is in your Windows firewall rules. So this will help a lot of your issues if you're running into network issues. If you're getting the disconnects, this is what finally solved it for me. I'll put a link in the description, of course. There's a tool called tcpOptimizer from speedguide.net. So run this tool, and what you want to do is reset to the Windows default. So you open this up, and it'll show your different options that you have on your computer, and reset to the Windows default, apply changes, and then things will work and not have the disconnects. So big props to Legionnaire for knowing all this ins and outs of the networking, and for designing and creating this tool here to bring all these other tools together here, and the whole rest of this team. So let's dive into these tools. So let's start with cnc-online. It's using this Revora network here, so you'll need to register here on this website and make an account here, and you'll need to pick a server password there that you'll use in game. On our downloads page, we have a link to GenTool, but we've already covered that. There is also the option here to have this launcher here will work as well. I can show you that as well since I have that installed as well. If you're running into issues, try running this as an admin. So that's easy enough to do. You can do it right here like this, and then you're running as an admin. It's possible to hook here. I ultimately found that not to be necessary, and this launcher not to be necessary for playing online. But the GenTool is not necessary but you can install it right here along with some other tools. Okay, so let's jump into CNC Online and take a look there. Got my GenTool. It's working correctly because the DLL is in the directory as it should be. I got a menu here. I can see some information, choose my options and stuff like that. Multiplayer, online, and instead of going to the dead services, we now have an actual online. So use your login information that we set up.
Welcome to Generals
the
Online.
Revora ID, and we have these online stuff here. So there's some information here. We can go to Quick Match. See if anybody's playing right here. We got some passworded games, so somebody's looking to make a match with some friends already. So different lobbies here available. I think most of the pro players are moving over to the 2v2 lobbies as new players are coming into the 1v1 lobbies. But hopefully as we get more players on here, we'll fill this all out. with these different regional lobbies even. And then there's this lobby down here for original armies only if you want to play OG Generals rules. So pretty well set up there already and ready for new players to come in there. So that's largely what I wanted to cover about CNC Online. If you're getting a version error, make sure you run GenPatcher and you got the latest version there, latest version of GenPatcher as well. And that'll make sure that you're on the latest version of GenTool, and that'll get you on the CNC Online. There was one other error there. If you're getting an error relating to registry key is invalid, I think I'll just show something I filmed earlier this week. All right, we log in there, and we get this error. Registry is corrupt and has been altered. So it's a new error there. And in order to fix that, we're going to go into our registry. So you hit your Windows key, go to Reg Edit, and bring up your registry editor here. And we're going to navigate there to computer/hkey underscore local hkey underscore local machine /software /wow6432 node /electronic arts /EA games /generals. And we're going to place a new key here. We're going to call it ergc. And we're going to modify this value. This is actually where the CD key should be stored, but we don't have CD keys because we're on Steam now. So we're going to put a dummy value here. And we're going to do the same thing in this Command & Conquer General's 0 hour directory. I don't know what the other 0 hour one is for. I'm going to call it ergc. And we're going to modify its value . 5 sets of 4 zeros. Okay, so our next option here is gameRanger. And as I said, there's quite a step down from that client that we were just looking at. So I would really try and get CNC Online working if you can. And if you can't, head to the Discord there and look for answers there. Or post below if you got questions, of course, and I'll be sure to answer if I know the answer. But there's definitely resources available to get you online on CNC Online. So I would definitely try for that route. And really only because I've been playing with the other options this week, I've explored everything there is about CNC Generals Online. So gameRanger is a tool that exists. The problem is that it hasn't been updated in years. So a lot of the old games from GameSpy are on here now. A lot of old games here are playable. It's pretty cool if that's your only option here. But let's jump on here and take a look at how that is for generals. Alright, to get on gameRanger, you'll need to register an account. I've got one already. We'll go on to here. Alright, so we're automatically showing the games here that you have installed that are available here. If it's not showing your game here, you can try to add it in the options here, but it's not going to work unless you have the latest version of GenPatcher. GenPatcher fixes your game not showing up here as well. So here are the lobbies being formed on gameRanger. We can sort by these different things here. These green ones are currently being played, so we're looking for games that are being formed, and then these are the lobbies I can jump in here. Alright, so from those lobbies you can launch into the game, but that's really the extent of gameRanger. It's really cool how it works. We're using the network feature rather than the online. It just launches into the game directly. and then joins the match that you've joined there. You will need to open port 16,000 on your router, so that's going to be different for each router. So you'll just have to figure that out on your own. For me, there's a sticker actually on my router that has an IP address, and I go to that IP address, and then there's a login information also on that sticker. I put that login information in, and then that gives me access to a little setup page there where you can add ports to open. So you'll get a warning in gameRanger if that port's not open and available. So don't worry too much about that. If you get that warning, then it's pretty clear what needs to happen there. So that's gameRanger. That's really all there is to it. You know, at least there's lobbies and stuff there, and it works enough, well enough with the GenPatcher installed. So there's that. And we're about to take another step to there's that too. Our admin VPN is really cool in theory. So our admin VPN is a free, easy to use software product to create virtual local networks. So it's a VPN. I'll show you how this works here. All right, so I got our admin VPN up here. Connect on here. You can see the networks that are available. So these are all games that have networks available. So rather than just joining an arbitrary VPN, you're joining a VPN designated for those specific games. So now I'm on that VPN. I'm going to open up Generals.
EA Games. Challenge everything. A terrorist base.
We're going to go to the network. And here's part of the problem here. So notice your name and your game name is the same thing. There's not even a separate game name. You just have your name. There's these players in here, and there's these games being formed up here. So it's possible to get on here and play. It's going to be really hit and miss whether you find reasonable opponents. Really, this is going to be a decent option if you want to have an arranged match and you want to meet somebody for playing. But as far as like finding games like that, it's just going to be your absolute worst option there. So if that's your only option, go for it. Otherwise, I would just try for the other options. CNC-online is really the best option there. I think I showed why in that client there. It's just meant for what we're doing here. So I think that covered everything I wanted to cover. And hopefully this wasn't incoherent in any way. Post below in the comments if you got any questions or comments. And I'll put the links to the Discords and stuff like that below. So let's bump this number up. We got 61 in-game on CNC-online right now. I think we can get a couple hundred people on there pretty easily and start packing out these servers and getting some regular games going. Also, I do want to note mods like through Gen Launcher, which you can get through GenPatcher, can work through CNC-online as well, and through the others as well. One issue with mods is it's not labeled. There's no icons or anything for what mods anybody's using, so you got to label your games pretty clearly which mod you are. Otherwise, people are going to have version differences when they try and join your game there. But I think that is it. So that's the guide to online. 3 ways to play online. Definitely some better than the others. Well, one's clearly better, one works, and one just technically works. But there are 3 ways to play online, and I will see you online. Thanks for watching.